Hello, hello. I see we're getting a few people coming on, so we'll just give it a minute or so to let some more people in before we start. But good to see lots of people already signing on promptly. Always good to see. It's a little bit longer before we begin. Okay, I reckon if I speak really slowly for this beginning bit, and then we will kick off very, very soon. I can still see the numbers rising, so don't want anyone to miss the beginning. Okay, let's begin. So, hi everybody, welcome to the second QR webinar session of 2025. So today we'll be hearing about how QR codes powered by GS1 can revolutionize consumer engagement. This is a really cool use case that we're focusing on over at GS1 UK. So thank you for all being here today. Just a quick bit of initial housekeeping, I suppose. Firstly, this will be a panel discussion. So I'd recommend, if you can, to change your view to gallery so that you can see all the speakers at once when I stop sharing my screen. Otherwise, you'll just get the first person speaking. So if you can do that, I would recommend it. We will be taking questions at the end. So feel free to pop some questions in the chat in the meantime if you want to get going, and then we hopefully won't miss them. But I'd also recommend directing them, whether it's to Organico Real Foods or Orcascan, or of course GS1 UK. So feel free to use the chat to do that. You should all be able to type in there. So perfect. I'm Tamsin Stafford, Partner Manager here at GS1 UK, and I'm delighted to be joined by two fantastic guest speakers. So firstly, we have Lee Switzer-Wolf, who's Head of Sales and Marketing at Organico Real Foods. And we also have Tim Hill, Partnership Manager at Orcascan. Lots of you on the call may be familiar with Orcascan. They're a valued GS1 UK partner who we've been working with for some time, and actually worked with them on the first GS1 UK QR pilot. So thank you both for being here. So before we do hear from Lee and Tim, and I promise you we'll let them introduce themselves, but before we do that, I just want to give a very quick overview of the transition to QR codes powered by GS1 and how they work. So we've got a few people on the call here, and I know everyone will have different understandings of the transition. So just to give a bit of background information, hopefully some help. So firstly, that barcode that we all know and love on the left-hand side of the screen there has remained unchanged for 50 years. This is actually despite digital advances. So we've literally had Google in this time and the internet, and it still hasn't changed, which is impressive. However, that barcode does only hold one piece of data. So about 5 years ago, GS1 globally got together to talk about the future of the barcode. And there was one thing that they all agreed on, which is always great to hear, and that was the need for that code to hold more data, which is why Ambition 2027 was born. So some people on the call might have heard the phrase Sunrise 2027. That's more something that's used in the States, but essentially what Ambition 2027 means is that GS1 is transitioning from the traditional barcode that we all know to QR codes powered by GS1. So what that means is it's not a hard stop. There's no need to panic. It just means that by the end of 2027, the majority of POS systems will be able to scan both the QR and the 1D barcodes. So you might be asking, why now? Well, ultimately, it's because technology is ready. So we have many partners, including Orcascan, who are ready to offer this. They're already ready to go. We've got brands trialing it. We've got retailers trialing it. So why not become an early adopter? Why not become innovative and ultimately future-proof your brand? Because we do believe it is coming. So what is the difference? Well, the 1D barcode on the left-hand side only holds one piece of data, which is the GTIN, the global trade item number, otherwise known as the sort of unique identifier. So that's the digits underneath the barcode. But the QR code powered by GS1 also holds the GTIN, and it also goes beep at the till like the barcode. But on top of that, it also links to multiple pieces of online information, and it can be dynamically updated. So like I say, as well as holding the GTIN, it can also hold other pieces of data, such as batch number and expiry date, which is amazing for your supply chain. So once again, it performs the same function as a barcode, but it still goes beep. It just does a lot more. Now, the QR code powered by GS1 uses the digital link standard, which is the blue syntax underneath there on the screen. So that's the way in which the data is structured behind the code. And with all that additional data, it unlocks a whole new world of possibilities. So part of those possibilities, this connected consumer use case, if you're signed on to our other webinar series, we'll be unpacking other world of possibilities like food waste and traceability, etc. So it really is fantastic. Okay, I would like to welcome Lee from Organico Real Food. So Lee, it would be great if you could tell the audience a bit more about your brand, who you are, what you do. Be great.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. My name's Lee Switzer-Wolf. I'm the head of sales and marketing for Organico Real Foods. We're a family of brands, and the main brand that we're talking about here today is Real Foods by Organico. So we have a growing range of 100% organic Mediterranean pantry staples. So from rices to pastas to sauces and oils, and all from expert grower producers, predominantly in Italy and around the Mediterranean. So we've been in the marketplace, the organic marketplace, for more than 25 years. We started off purely as an importer, but that soon grew to be our own brand. We're very, very active, very vocal in not just organic sustainability in general and the ethical space. We're B Corp. We scored very, very highly. We're sort of top 3% on B Corp. And this all came about because last year and a bit of the year before, we'd started a massive rebrand where our brand had looked the same for something like 15, 16 years. So we were undergoing this huge transformation and future-proofing our brand. And this seemed like the perfect time. We'd been reading a lot about the barcodes and how they were changing. So this bit was part of our future-proofing.
Great, thank you so much. Always love to hear the future proofing because that's exactly what we're striving for. So I'll stop sharing my screen a second and we can unpack that a bit more about the collaboration between yourselves and Orcascan.
Great.
Everyone will get to see us in full, I hope. Perfect. So firstly, Lee, it would be good to understand a bit more about why you decided to focus on the connected consumer use case for your application. Of course, there's a lot of use cases, but why was this where you decided to start?
Well, as I said, it was a fortuitous, perfect timing moment for us where we'd been learning more and more about it, and we came across Orcascan and we started talking with Tim and his team, and we could see this was the perfect opportunity for us because we are, as I said, we're a company that's very, very vocal. And we are dealing with products where you don't always get a lot of pack space. Sometimes we have dips that are kind of this big, and we have a lot that you want to say. And we've got such fantastic stories from our suppliers. And that you constantly are striving for a way to tell your story and a way to give. We also believe, you saw on my slide there, we believe in something called radical transparency, which is giving full information about the product, about what goes into it. And that's what's at the heart of organic as well. So really, we saw this as an opportunity to be able to tell our stories, to be able to maximize our message and just give more, just further empower the consumer to look deeper. It came about as well because part of our rebrand was we know that we can over talk our ethics. So we wanted to put this focus, shift this focus onto the joy of real food and get back to basics and scratch cooking and enjoying food. So we wanted to be able to have a place where if people wanted to know more about their product, about the ethics, about the nutrition, recipe suggestions, all these things, it was a way to really put power in the hands of the consumer and give them the information they want whilst leaving our pack clear for some lovely, joyful messaging.
Great. Yeah, that makes total sense. And great to hear that the consumer's obviously at the forefront of everything that you're doing and providing them with information that I'm sure they're loving having access to. So there will be some people on this call who are at the very beginning of their journey. They might be looking into how to get started their QR codes for the consumer purpose. So, and they also might be questioning, who do I need to get involved? Is it quite complex, etc.? So what were the initial steps that you guys took and who was it that actually needed to be involved to make this happen, Lee?
Yeah, well, actually, it was. I mean, we're a very small team in general, which makes our lives easier because we could be quite nimble. So it's very simple, I would say. It's something that didn't need a lot of people to be involved. Once we started dealing with Orcascan, and Tim and myself were working closely from the beginning, they made it very, very easy for us. It's a platform type system which is incredibly simple to use. So from my point of view, we had a design team that were doing the actual rebrand and the look and feel. But from my back end point of view, I just had to make sure that we had our GTINs, we input them into Tim's system, and from there on, we could immediately generate a QR code. So I was generating these QR codes before I really had them pointing at any content other than the sort of base product. And that meant that we could start the process. We could, because we had, 80 products to work through with all sorts of different timelines and issues. So that the fact that it was so easy, we could get started so quickly, and I am now still adding. That's the great thing about it. You can keep adding, you can keep building your content. So yeah, from the beginning, it was a very small amount of effort, I'd say, for a large amount of reward.
That's perfect. And you've really seen the potential here, which is great. And obviously, this is where we're going to sort of hand over to Tim. Hi, Tim. So obviously, we've heard from Lee that there's been a very collaborative effort between you guys. So how exactly did Orcascan support Organic and Real Foods in terms of the solution that you offer for everyone else out there?
Well, it's lovely to hear Lee's experience again, and we've been working on this since June 2023, and I'm a marketer at heart, so I've loved the fact that this solution brings the customer closer to the brand. I think probably not just worth, before we go any further, I just wondered if people on the webinar would this is one of Lee's beautiful breadstick products, and here is the QR on the back of the pack. If you are able to scan that on your mobile phone, it should take you to the solution that the customer actually sees. I'll just give people a minute to do that. So Orcascan is all. Oh, actually, I'll keep holding it. Orcascan is all about simplifying barcode tracking, and we applied the same principles to simplifying digital link, and we've been working with GS1 since 2021, I think. If as Tammy mentioned at the start on the pilots, we'd already, by the time Lee came along, we'd already helped like 25, 30 people on board with the digital link solution. And yeah, my colleagues, I can't take any credit for this, my colleagues in the design team have created this simple system where essentially, as long as you've got your GTINs from GS1, you simply enter the GTINs into a kind of a column on the Orcascan platform, which looks a bit like a spreadsheet. And under that first column, you put the GTIN, you then into the product description, the second column. In a third column, you link that product description to the URL on your website, which goes to that product page. You then have a series of GS1 defined headers, if you like, to this spreadsheet, things like product information, sustainability credentials, frequently asked questions, recipes, all these things which your customers will benefit from. And then essentially the Orca magic is just pointing those icons that you're hopefully seeing on your phone now. If you haven't got a phone, I've got it on mine. So essentially these are the icons. So the customer sees this in the supermarket or when they've got the product back home, they click on those icons and it takes them to a page on your website. So it's beautifully simple, effortless to implement in terms of putting the URLs on. Even for someone like Lee that has like 90 plus products, I do think Lee's Organica is probably a record holder with the most number of digital link QR codes currently going. So that's really, it is really that simple. We sort of three steps really: download the app, upload the GTINs, print off the QR code, and away you go. That's really it. And also one of the things which it does as well, you've seen lovely yellow branding, the color. You'll see when you look at the app on your screen there, it's mirrored that image. It looks like an Organico landing page. It automatically pulls the socials for you. It automatically brands it in your right colors, and it automatically it automatically puts in these lovely little icons.
Great. Yeah. Super. You make it sound very easy, Tim, which is, I'm sure, what everybody wants to hear. And it looks fantastic too. So obviously we've heard that there was a lot of digital links applied here. So it was a big rollout. So in that case, Tim, for this specific rollout with Organico Real Foods, what did you actually need to get into market, and how fast were you able to do it, especially with all those products?
Well, Lee did all the work really. I mean, the solution, I'd say, is really easy to implement. So it was, we'd had everything in place and we'd learned a lot. I'd worked with Jason and your team to onboard a number of other, you know, innovative food brands. Potentially, most of them were food brands at the time, food and drink brands. So we knew, we knew how to help them on board. And actually, since those early days, everything is on our website, so people can just follow the process on there. From literally from downloading the app to generating your first QR code probably takes about 10-15 minutes. I mean, I'm getting, with a 90 products, it would take a while to do. It would probably take you an afternoon to upload them all. And I know it's exciting working with Lee. Had hundreds of other different strands of work with the rebrand. So this was one of the things that we fitted in, and I was able to help do some of those for him. But I mean, I think in terms of helping, Lee's tech savvy. You don't need to be particularly tech savvy the way Orca is. We've grown up. We've helped simplify barcode tracking. So we used our platform and our culture and our ethos to just continue that theme and create a simple solution for digital link to help you guys at GS1 get more and more people on board to roll it out.
Perfect. Great. Thanks so much, Tim. So obviously it sounds super straightforward, and this particular rollout was straightforward and simple, which is great. I know that there will be people on the call thinking, I'm sure I'll face some challenges and issues. Nothing is ever super simple. So I suppose, Lee, from your point of view, were there any challenges? Obviously, everything seemed to be resolved, but were there any challenges that you came across?
Yeah, I mean, very few really. I think the challenge, the main challenge was an internal one for me, which was how am I going to populate this? So my advice going into anyone, as I said, the big advantage is you don't have to do it right away. You can get your QR code on pack and you can, with the bare minimum, it's pointing to your product on your website. But you've suddenly got this wealth of space and world of information. And I was a bit like, oh my, you're sort of a embarrassment of riches, because now you need to make this work. So making a plan, I think, is very important. But you can do it in stages. We still have quite a few sections where it's going to more generic information, and we want to make it more product specific as we go. So there was that on the internal side, was just how are we going to structure this? What are we going to do? Then we had a few little bits and pieces, which were mainly around things like the way that Orca brings in the colors and the logo and things from your website. So it was again, a collaborative effort where between Tim and I and his team, we were thinking, what can we do? How can we make this show the way I want it to show from a branding, my selfish marketing point of view, as a certain way I want it to look. So yeah, we made a few changes here and there, changed where the logo appeared on my website, and we were able to work together and make it happen the way that we needed to. But yeah, I can't really overstate the simplicity of it. As Tim said, it's like a spreadsheet. You're talking, birth of the internet in terms of simplicity. You just fill in some information in some columns. It's very easy to use. And as I said, I think the best thing is that we can keep adding. We've used QR codes, well, for a long time in the past, but they've always been random generic QR codes from some online QR generator. It's very easy to lose control of those, or they stop working or whatever. So again, here it was to have that consistency and know that if I've got any issues, there's a team behind them to help me out.
Great. That's really helpful. Thank you. So then I guess, Tim, from your perspective, it sounds like for brands such as Organico and anyone really going into this, at first it can seem quite overwhelming. It seems like there's a lot to figure out on internally. So from Orgascan's perspective, how did you help resolve those challenges?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't, first of all, talking to everybody out there, I wouldn't be daunted. I was having a chance to show, I've got umpteen products that, I mean, there's a lot of companies that have done this, a lot of products that have done this. So if you look on the GS1 website, you'll see how easy it is and how impactful it can be. I mean, my colleagues and the team have built Orca on listening to customer challenges and building solutions around those those sort of pain points and making things as easy as possible. I think we did. I mean, a couple of challenges we did hit were around the I guess again marketing head on the sort of brand hierarchy of Real Foods and Organico and the black and the yellow, and then there's another brand which leaves fish forever, and different brands in the family, getting those colors right. But we were able to work around there. It's been great working with Lee because he's super creative, and one of the things which we've been able to add to the product roadmap now is that whilst we've got all these sort of headings, on the icons, sort of about us, where you can ask questions, all these GS1 structured headings, there are needs to sort of have different identifiers, different icons. For example, Lee has one which is called Planet Score, which is kind of informing customers, I believe, Lee, about the environmental impact of that food.
Yeah, essentially, yes, yeah.
But there isn't a GS1 identifier for Planet Score. And there isn't in the Orca app currently an icon that we can call Planet Score, because a lot of people want different icons. So we've now built into the roadmap to build icons that can be then named by the customer, so they could have Planet Score. There was another company I was working with, which was a gin company. They were wanting to have information about the artists that were on the labels for their gin, so they could have a blank icon and call it artist information. So it's been great working working with Lee and others and getting feedback on how we can further improve and enhance the experience for them and for the customer at the end of the day. But it is, I would say to people watching, don't be put off. It's not well, at least told you it's not complicated. It isn't complicated, and it is great because once you've got the QR code, you've got it there, and you can just add and take away links. If you want a promotion 1 month, you can add a promotion icon in. It's great. It's really good.
Yeah, I would say, sorry to cut in, but I would just add to that the onus is kind of on the brand, is on you as the brand or the product to have that information available. What this is doing is giving you the functionality to pick up your information and display it in a way that works for a consumer. In our case, we have all of our product information because we have a direct-to-consumer Shopify site, so we can direct each barcode to the actual product, and you will have the nutritional information and a product description and a product image already in place. If you don't have those things in place, that's something you're going to need to be thinking about. But you can't expect to just go in and have Orca do that for you. You need to have it, set in place already.
Great. Thanks so much for that. So I suppose, we're here to talk about revolutionizing consumer engagement. We've, of course, heard in the beginning from you, Lee, about how you have really been thinking about the consumer. So now that this is out there and it's happening, have you seen great success from this? Are you happy with how things have gone? What exactly are the results of this particular rollout?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very difficult thing to quantify, isn't it? I mean, for us, it's such an important part. You never know with anything that you do in the sustainability and ethical space, particularly, that everybody says they want it, but how many people interact with it? I'm never quite sure. But we are, for us, it's such a great thing. I was saying to Tim before that it's not just a great thing direct with consumers. It's also a great thing from my trade sales point of view, because when I'm at a trade show, when I'm in a pitch, it's another sort of string to the bow for the product, that I can be showing this information, that I can be showing this kind of consumer engagement. We've been doing some consumer activities. We've been using the barcodes as part of that. And when you're talking to a customer, to be able to just say, or a consumer, to be able to just say, look, scan here and learn everything you want about the product, is fantastic. And we're seeing good results from that. And we've got where to buy on there. It also, we have the option. Another thing that I love about it with my, sales and marketing head on is, say you've bought our rice and you thought it was fantastic rice, which of course you would. You can scan this product and you can see what else we have available. You can see our other products. You can see, oh, actually, I can buy this on Ocado, as I nicely saw somebody mention in the chat here. So thank you for that. So, immediately this is working because you're giving people further buying options. We can put promotions in there. We can do all that sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to measure. but it's something that I think is, I couldn't recommend highly enough.
Thank you so much. So again, this is just the beginning though. So what's next? Have you got new rollouts planned? Perhaps looking at other use cases? What's next for Organico?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of the above. Yeah. So we've already got, since our big rollout, we've already got new products coming through. We have a range of beans that just came out into beans and pulses, just came out into the market. We've got new biscuits, 3 brand new biscuits, which I'm excited about, which have just arrived in our warehouse. So these things, we've got more and more products coming out, and we are doing recipe development on new products at the moment. But also we have the 2 things that are really on my mind is, one, as I said, continuing to populate this information because there's so many uses. I think accessibility is a really important use because, again, you can scan and you've got all your nutritional info. So if you find it hard to read the pack or anything like that, there's a real big accessibility use there that I want to make sure we're maximizing. And really building the potential for Organico. But also, as Tim alluded, we have another brand, which is Fish Forever, which is a sustainable canned fish brand. We're also going through a rebrand there because we never like to make our lives too easy. But that brand is built entirely around sustainability, and we have full traceability to the boats that caught the products. So it's a really exciting opportunity for us to be able to use these QR codes, use OrcaScan to start to roll that out. So that's something that Tim and I have been talking about, and we need to start putting into action so I can start generating them. But that will give us, we have so much traceability information there, and it's something where people really care about the traceability. And it's what sets us apart as a brand, because nobody can do it quite to the level that we do currently. So yeah, that's lots of really exciting stuff to come.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to share my screen again. Hopefully this comes up for everybody. But that was really helpful, Lee and Tim, really helpful to hear actually how it's come to life and that it's been a success, which is perfect for everyone listening on the call. I've seen a few questions coming in and some have been answered. But before we get to that, I'd just like to hand over to Tim to let everyone know what their potential next steps could be to getting started.
No, thank you very much. That's been it's been great. I mean, the next steps are the details are on here, and Lee and I have explained how it works. There is there's a page on our website, which if I stick that in the chat, which takes you through to how to get set up in 3-step solution, like I've told you. It really is straightforward. I mean, next steps will be answering these questions that I've seen coming up here. But thanks very much for listening, and we'd be delighted to help at OrcaScan. It's been great being part of the GS1 pilot. We've onboarded more than 50 organisations like these to get up and running. I suppose one of the highlights for me actually, Lee, was when DataLogic used your product to test their scanners across Europe to see whether they did go beep at the till, and they are using them to do that. So it's been a very exciting project, and it continues to be so, and it's been great working with GS1 and Organico.
That's great, thank you. So I guess we can hand over to questions now. Again, I've seen some in the chat, so I need to go through the ones that have not been answered yet. But before we go to those, I actually received one on email before. So purely for being so prompt, we're going to answer this question first, which I'm going to ask Tim to answer, which is actually from Kevin Croucher at Catistar, which was, will the new QR code be able to direct to brand websites as well as giving product information?
Yeah, I did see that question yesterday, Tammy, and I thought, well, kind of yes, because it's taking you. That's the whole principle of it. It's taking from that app. The link then goes to the brand's website, which is what Lee was explaining. And you can, as long as you've got the pages on your website, essentially linking those icons to URLs on the website.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes. Exactly.
Perfect. So Tim, this is quite a hard one, I suppose, but someone has got in straight for the jugular, I suppose. What if OrcaScan fails and the hosting goes down? Would all this person's products instantly become unsellable?
Orcascan's been going since about 2017, 2018. Our servers are secure and hosted on a secure cloud. So yeah, they wouldn't lose it. I'm not a technician. I can't answer that totally. Orcascan's been around. We've got 450,000 users. We support their bar tracking needs, throughout the world. We've got 50,000 organizations in 165 countries using the Orcascan platform to track anything from medical devices in hospitals through to we work with one of Europe's largest coffee manufacturers, tracking the beans through the production process. So we have measures in place to ensure that isn't going to happen.
Yeah,
I would add to that currently we are, because we're future-proofing, we are dual barcoding. So we do have the traditional classic barcode on our products as well currently. So we haven't fully transitioned to just QR code. So at the moment, the QR is on there purely for informational purposes and for all the reasons that we've talked about here. But it is fantastic to know that our GTIN is built into that, and that, and that is the direction of travel.
yeah, right.
Should have got one of my developer colleagues on the call to answer that question satisfactorily to whoever asked that question. David Walker. No, not David Walker. I can't see who asked it. Anyway, I can follow up with whoever asked that and put it into the chat. They get the proper official answer.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay, perfect. So I think, Lee, this one's going to be for you. Have you looked at printing the QR so you can get things like batch codes and best before dates in the code? Is that something that you're thinking about maybe for the future?
Yes and no. I mean, it's a great idea, but the problem with that would be that we would have to print individual new packaging for every batch. And the nature of our products being ambient, long life products, predominantly, with the exception of the breadsticks actually that Tim showed. But we're selling rice where the best before date is in three and a bit years time. So it wouldn't be great to be printing fresh artwork every single time that we do that. So it's not something that particularly works for us. But if we had fresh products, I'd 100% be doing that. And I can understand there's a massive sort of coming advantage to be able to do that. I saw when we were first reading about this, I was reading an article where the gist was, you get to the tills in the supermarket and you scan the product and the till tells you that it's expired. So that kind of functionality, I think, is fantastic. It doesn't necessarily work for us at this stage, but yeah, I mean, it's a great application.
Great, thank you. Tim, I think a lot of these questions are for you. People are very curious about generally like getting started, really, I suppose. So we've got a couple of questions that are somewhat similar. So does it allow you to show recycling icons, etc., for different regions, so you don't have to print on the product packaging? And I'm kind of going to throw another question in there at the same time because it is sort of country specific things. So does the QR code allow geo identification? So when a customer scans a code, it can link specifically to a country website?
As you explained at the start, we worked with GS1 on this pilot program, which was essentially to create an out-of-the-box, ready-to-use starter product, I guess, to get people up and running with. The brief was to get people up and running with the product. So with digital links, sorry. So in terms of the so what was the first question? Recycling icon. There is a recycling icon because there was a GS1 identifier for recycling or sustainability. So yes, that is the case. At the moment, if you scan it in France, it doesn't come up in French, or if you scan it in Spanish, in Spain, it doesn't come up in Spanish. But we're in the process of translating all of our Orcascan platform into multiple languages at the moment. But it doesn't do that at the moment.
I think also it's probably worth mentioning that in a lot of cases you'd have different barcodes for different products in different regions. So in our case, we would have different a different code on a product that was, for example, for sale in France.
Yeah. Okay, great. And another question for Orcascan: did Orcascan provide the back office systems for sustainability tracking, or is this something that you already have in Organico?
Oh, I think that's a question for me.
Yeah.
No, it's something that we already have. We have several different sort of internal audit systems that we've developed over the years, and it kind of ranges whether you're talking about the Organico products or Fish Forever. But now that's something that we handle. All of the information is something that we handle internally, and then OrcaScan, as I said, is a way to. It gives us an app with the opportunity to direct people wherever we need to direct them, depending on the product.
Perfect. Thank you. And then does the offline capability match the current EAN offering? So if the servers were to go down, all of the data is safe, is it functional? There's a lot of people going into the big questions here.
Everybody's worrying about cyber attacks, aren't they?
They are. It's very topical at the moment, but I suppose we're here to answer them.
Yeah, I mean, so which question? I'm looking at the list of questions. What was the actual question?
Does the offline capability match the current EAN offering? So if the servers were to go down, although the data is safe, is it functional?
I can't. I mean, I'm not a technical expert. I'm guessing if the servers went, I just wish John was on here. I don't know the answer to that question.
We can definitely, we've got your details. I can see the name
Yeah.
of who this is, so we can definitely help out with some of these questions. That's not a problem. I think we've gone through most of them.
Sorry, can I just note something? Duncan
Yeah.
Midwood in the chat has said that back to my earlier point, to print the codes digitally doesn't require different artwork, just a digital printer and to print a code in a white box. And actually, that's a very good point. So that is a solution that could work as long as it could print the QR code efficiently. I mean, I'd say to that, we deal with a range of different suppliers, and due to our ethos, many of them are very, very small suppliers. And so it's a matter of we're sometimes limited to what their equipment can do. So, but yes, it's an excellent point from Duncan there. So that could definitely be done.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, I think we've gone through most of them, but if you do have any other questions, and then you're more than welcome to sort of drop us an email. That's no problem at all, and we can help you. I would say before we close, like I say, we do have some additional webinar series coming up, so please do register online. You can find them on the GS1 UK website. And if before people leave, I could ask you to just answer this quick poll. That would be very helpful before you end. Hopefully it's showing now. This just helps us understand how useful these are and to help for future webinar series, again, even for the ones that are coming up. So if you could just do this before you sign off, that'd be really, really helpful. But I hope you found today's session valuable. Thank you so much. I will just give this a few more seconds before I end it, because I know people are very quick at answering these polls. Still going. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Great to see the thank yous coming in the chat too. So hopefully everyone's happy. Like I say, feel free to get in touch if you need more support.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.